Tell me the truth.
Let's talk about it. Welcome to Oral Fixation, where we talk about all things sex and dating in Los Angeles. Oral Fixation is sponsored by Voodoo Toys, a sexual wellness company based in LA, whose mission is to empower women and break the stigmas that surround masturbation. My name is Aspen Spellman, and I'm joined by my co-host, Sally Koching. Sit back, relax, and let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Tell me the truth.
All right, I guess we just rock and roll. Hey guys, welcome. Yeah, we're all in the studio today in the Love Lounge. Great to see you again, Aspen.
Great to see
It's been
you
a minute.
again.
We actually took a bit of a break over Thanksgiving. I'm so sorry that we
did.
left
The
you
holidays
guys.
took a little hiatus, but
Yeah.
we're back. We're back and better than ever.
And we are joined by the lovely Reyes today in the studio.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome.
Hey, girl.
Riley is a super duper famous, super duper hot adult performer that you may have seen or heard of. So we're honored to have her in the studio with us today because Aspen and I have a lot of questions.
We do.
Yeah, we wrote a list.
We're on the phone too. We're like, oh yeah, and this and that and this.
Yeah,
We're
I want to know.
I
Yeah.
glanced over that list, but I feel like we're just gonna keep it pretty raw, just like go for it.
Yeah.
It'll be
Yeah,
fun.
we're
Yeah.
all about transparency.
That's where I'm comfortable.
Exactly.
Keeping it raw and going for it.
Keep it raw and go for it. Our new tagline. Oral Fixation. Listen now.
Oh, you're gonna fit right in. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's great.
we're gonna have a blast.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I know tonight getting here, the LA traffic was a bit of a nightmare, so we are not worthy.
No.
What did you do for Thanksgiving, Riley?
Oh my gosh, my girlfriend's mom came into town and we just had like a little small 3-person Thanksgiving here in LA. I cooked for everyone, like trying to show off for the mother-in-law, right? So we each got our own little Cornish hen and I made homemade apple pie and green beans and mashed potatoes to go with it. So I felt like I did a good job.
You're a goddess. That's
very
amazing.
impressive.
I didn't do that.
Sally said, take out.
Yeah. Yeah. I stayed in a hotel and I ate everyone else's cooking and I was a huge appreciator
There we
of
go.
it. That's about all. I bought some festive spirit, but I'm also like, I'm only really a year into the Thanksgiving thing, so that was my excuse for not cooking. Plus, I didn't want to poison my boyfriend's family. Too soon.
Too soon.
Yeah,
Oh,
I haven't won them
man.
over yet.
There we go.
And what did you do,
love
Aspen?
I went back to the good old Northern Virginia, DMV area.
Yeah,
So
it's a
had
bit cold
Thanksgiving.
over
It's
there.
A little cold. I wasn't ready for it. This is the only jacket I had was a sweater. So I was
Huge
freezing.
mistake.
Huge mistake. But yeah, I just spent it at my aunt's house, ate some great turkey, good
Great.
casseroles.
Standard.
Standard, very standard Thanksgiving.
Great.
And as any Thanksgiving is, the youngest clean the kitchen. So,
And that's you.
and that's me. So I had a lovely time.
That's nice.
That's nice.
Do you guys have any traditions for Thanksgiving?
No. Well, usually me and my parents go out to dinner the day before Thanksgiving.
Cute.
But this year they were in London. So,
What?
yeah. So I just house sat and
So you didn't even have Thanksgiving with your family?
no, they
Just
well like with
in
like,
the
my aunts,
family.
uncles. Yeah,
Oh,
just
okay.
in the family. But my parents were abroad.
Oh, that's nice.
Right?
They got the right idea.
I was like, go for it. Go for it. I know. I love it.
So we do a thing, Riley, at the start of the show that we get everyone to write in suggestions for Would You Rathers, and then we pick our favorite or we think of our own. And yeah, sometimes they've ignited some heated debates in here. Sometimes I've had to cut out what my producer Andrew has had to say about it. He's laughing because he has to then do the edits. He's like,
yeah.
all right, fuck you. I was cut.
Hopefully this will be that crazy.
But they're always great, and we get people to vote on social media. But we're just rushing after Thanksgiving, and I haven't actually got my social media people to vote yet.
Yep. No.
So you've
put
got
them on
them
there.
fresh right
Yeah.
here. All right, Aspen.
Fresh cooked up would you rathers.
Yeah, hit me with it.
Let's do it. First one. Watch a guy and a girl, or a guy on guy adult film, or watch a girl on girl adult film.
Oh, you gotta start with would you rather.
Oh, what? You know? Okay, let's make it official. Let's make it official. Can I get a drum roll, please?
All right.
Thank you. Would you rather watch a guy on guy adult film or a girl on girl adult film?
That's easy for me. I would definitely rather watch a guy on guy adult film. I'm addicted to gay porn. It's so great.
And why is that?
Yeah.
You know, I like girl too, but I'd say the main reason I prefer guy on guy is that I feel like I'm more likely to get something authentic and raw. I feel like a lot of girl on girl porn is like, you know, straight women pretending because they feel like it's harmless and easy, which is always frustrating to be in those scenes too, because I really want to get into it, you know?
Yeah.
But like the guys, I feel like most of them are there for the dick, and you get to watch two beautiful men touch each other's bodies, and I like dudes. That's amazing.
What a great
Oh my god,
answer.
yeah. All right,
Whoa.
I'm doing it. I'm gonna watch. That's my new preference.
That's my new preference.
Come check it out. Like it's a great place to
Come
be.
on
Come
over.
to the dark side.
Yeah.
Watch gay porn.
Well, because
Oh,
this
wow.
is one thing I
Yeah.
tend to agree, and we can get further into this, but like a lot of the time I feel like even if it's girl on girl, it's still for like the male viewer's pleasure rather than the actual people performing. And you can kind of fake it if you're a girl in terms of like if you're actually coming, but a guy, he can't really fake it. He like has to ejaculate at some point. It's
true.
That's how you know it's real.
Very true. And I didn't think about that because I would say I originally was thinking girl on girl just because I feel like it's a bit more softer and I can like really feel vulnerable when I'm watching it. But that's such a good point is that
But actually, a lot of girl on girl that I've seen is like, whoa, 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 whoa.
I like a good storyline. I like a good storyline. But that's so true is that it's not as authentic. You know, it's kind of and again the male gaze.
Yeah, I feel like everything that I see,
Interesting.
and I'm
Unless
going
you
to into it,
consume
but-
like a more queer created, queer centric girl on girl series, like Crash Pad is phenomenal. Tons of different girls of different colors and different bodies who are really just there to get some lady loving on. But you have to like seek that out and like go like spend your money on some good like well created girl on girl content. Whereas like you can get some like hot and sleazy guy on guy content pretty much anywhere on the net.
yeah, exactly.
I love it. And
it's
I
the
am-
first Google search.
Is it right?
Return. Yeah. It's for the cheap seats.
Yeah, and I am a cheap watcher, so give it to me. Give it to me.
What would
Let's
your
do it.
preference be, Aspen? Would you rather girl on girl?
Well,
so
now y'all school me on that. I might have to say,
we'll give it a try.
well, give it guy on guy. I'll give it a try.
Yeah,
I'll give it a try. You backed up your case.
I've
I
never
respect
really
it.
gotten into girl on girl because I'm just like I just don't feel like this is real. But
think-
also I'm
yeah.
not checking out the best websites, obviously.
Obviously, me that I used to when I first started watching porn, it would be girl on girl because I was scared of the guy's monstrous
Oh,
member.
sometimes
or tool.
they're angry looking.
It was terrifying. I was like, okay, so let me look up what's this lesbian porn? Yep. Click.
And the women
take
in
me in.
porn are just like stunning. It is a joy to watch them touch each other's bodies. It really is. God, I'm just so bisexual. It hurts me.
It's great. That's actually great in your
Yeah.
industry, right? It's good to keep your
love
options
that.
open.
Exactly.
It's really nice, except for the times that you get like booked for a girl scene with a chick who like clearly isn't feeling you and is phoning it in, and then your little heart breaks.
Oh yeah.
Oh, no.
I wanted this.
I wanted this. Like, please, let's just do it.
Let me get in it. I was looking at pictures of you, and you're so pretty.
Yeah, and,
Come on.
and she's like, actually, I'm into dudes, but I am phoning it in for this one.
Yeah.
Damn it.
You're like, dang it.
They're usually
it.
nice, at least.
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
good.
exactly. Ladies are usually nice, at least.
That's true. That's true.
All right, hit me with the next one.
All right, next one. Would you rather be caught cheating or catch your spouse cheating?
I hate this question.
Ooh, I know it's a tough one, babes.
It actually made me break out into sweat today when you, because it just made me envision it. Like, it made
Yeah.
me picture my boyfriend cheating on me or me cheating on him. Either way, I felt sick.
Yeah, and maybe that's why it was easier for me to, because I came to my conclusion very quickly. I think because I'm single.
All right,
so
what is
it's
it?
like, I would rather be caught I'd rather be caught in the act of cheating. Yes.
Ooh, she's a
And I
cold
say,
bitch.
you know what I'm saying? And I say this because if I were to ever step out of a relationship or cheat, it would be because I'm emotionally unfulfilled.
Okay.
And if I'm going outside my relationship, it's to get some type of validation or fulfillment from another guy.
Right.
And if I'm going to be caught, I know that it would be for the right reason. And then I would
Screaming.
And then I would be like,
so when you're caught cheating, you're just going to play back this segment.
no, I'm gonna talk to them and be like, you know
Look,
what,
honey,
you caught me.
I did it for the right reason.
Exactly.
You're welcome.
I'm like, you caught me, and apologies,
It's
but I
your
need to
fault.
work on myself, and this is partially your fault. So now I'm gonna we'll be friends.
That's
but
true.
if I'm to catch my spouse cheating or my partner cheating, I would instantly, all my insecurities would just come to the surface, and it would be a shit show. And when my insecurities come to the surface,
Yeah.
and I'm feeling vulnerable, I react in aggression. And so I just would be so angry. And I
Right.
don't think I would rationally think through what I would do next. I might end up in jail.
You've been warned.
You've been warned,
dudes.
everyone.
You
Don't
have been
cheat on me.
warned. Yeah.
For my future man out there.
Yeah.
But I'll
You
cheat
may
on you.
live to regret that you recorded this. They're going to use this in court.
Yes, they will definitely. We'll change my name, change my picture, everything. But yeah, that's my stance. I'd rather be caught in the act of cheating.
Okay.
Even
Riley?
admitting that.
I pretty quickly came to the conclusion that I'd want the opposite. Although full disclosure, I am polyamorous, so cheating would mean something different. Like, it doesn't mean just being with someone else. It means like being with someone else and like hiding it
Being
or lying about
deceptive
it, being
or-
deceptive.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I feel like I'm the hoe in the relationship with my girlfriend. Like, I'm the one who's going out and being slutty more of the time. Like, so if she's seeing someone, it's usually more emotional and more serious, like what you described you would be doing, Aspen. And if I was doing it, I'd probably be doing like some shallow, shady hoe bullshit, and I'd feel like a real monster. And if she was doing it, you know, I feel like it would be sad, but I would figure out a way to like work it out with her. And I feel like I have more empathy for her. And if I was doing it, I would feel like just a terrible monster. And if she was doing it, I'd be like, oh, she was probably in a bad spot. Let's talk about it, babe.
Oh, you're so empathetic. Oh, wow. Okay, well,
She's also a
sounds
total
like a nice
sweetheart.
person. Yeah.
Like, she's also like she is like a rock. She is someone who's got her shit together and has always been kind of the sweet, quiet, reserved one. And I've always been like the loud, crazy, slutty one. And so I feel like also she ought to get a pass, damn it, because she's put up with all of my hoey bullshit for all these years. Like a girlfriend who's a porn star, like and she's not in the biz. I know it can't be easy.
Yeah, I know.
Good point,
Well,
yeah.
I mean, that's
She deserves
extremely
it.
kind.
That is very
Give her a
kind.
pass, essentially.
deserves
She's listening to this and she's like, all right,
All right, cool.
your mom is nice girl.
I'm gonna walk home and I'm gonna find her with the neighbor, like
You're like, all right, you listen to that podcast.
right
didn't
away
you?
then. Okay.
Exactly.
I don't know what I would,
Yeah, what would you choose?
prefer, because like, I mean, obviously I pictured my immediate relationship that I'm
Yeah.
in, and I was like, oh my God, I would never want my partner to think that I'm a shady lying person. Like, I really hate lying. And if I was lying or being like sneaky, I would just I would feel so shit knowing that other person knows that I'm a shady person. And I'm bad at like keeping secrets. I had a dream that I was keeping secrets, and it ruined my entire next day.
Oh my god.
I woke up sweaty. I'm not
Bless
pure.
you.
I'm not like that. I do like white lie or whatever, but there was just something about like being caught lying that I live in fear of. But at the same time, I actually think I'd prefer that than catching my boyfriend in the act of like lying, because it would scar me. It would be like traumatic for my future relationships, because I really trust my partner, for them to be like, you know, hiding things and secretive, because I'd be like paranoid after that.
Yeah.
Either way, that was the worst question you could have
That's a
thrown
really
at me.
heavy question.
Yeah.
But you know, we had to know. We had to figure it out. Awesome. So our next one is, would you rather give oral sex or receive oral sex?
I'd rather receive oral sex. I'm very selfish.
Same, girl. That's where I'm at. I'm a selfish lover. I'm a lazy lover. Let me just lay here and do it. That's my stance. Thank you.
Mine was the opposite. I really, that's not my favorite type of sex. Like, even if like I'm getting off and they're good at it, I'm kind of like, yeah, let's get to the good part. Like, it's not my favorite. I'm more into penetration. So, and like, I'm like happy to give oral sex.
Yeah. It's fun.
Yeah, but I'm not that liberal with it, you know. But yeah, I'd much rather give than receive. I'm not that into it.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, getting to know me. Andrew, our producer, looks like he sides with me on that one. He's a generous lover, guys. He's taken, so forget about it.
Oh, damn.
I love it. I love it. All right, so our last one is, would you rather be with a partner you can't please sexually or be with a partner who cannot please you sexually?
This one's for Ryan.
Yes, we previously asked this one, and juicy answer, so take your shot at it.
This really breaks my heart. I don't even, like, of all the things, this is the one that I'm like, I don't even know how I would deal with either of these. I think I'd rather be with, switch from my last answer, a partner that couldn't please me.
Yeah. I think that's where we all
That's where we
ended
were
up
all.
too.
Yeah, and like, because it would shatter everything about my ego to not be able to please my partner. And at a certain point, if they couldn't please me, like, I would find a workaround. I would do stuff with toys, especially because I'm like poly. I would do other things and seek out. But if I like was unable to please them, it would mess my head right up. I'm a very prideful person, and honestly, like, even with both of these answers, I'm kind of toppy. Like, I'd rather get some dome, but I love my strap on. I love to fuck people. I love to do things unto people. Yeah, and I have a lot of pride in that. And if I couldn't do it right, it would fuck me up so bad.
Same. I don't think I could stay with that person.
No.
Because ultimately I'd be like, you hate me.
That's what I'm saying.
not enough.
I'm not enough for you. Like, look in the mirror after and be like, wipe away a tear. Like, all right, we're done here.
We could deal with it if they were like ill or had like a erectile dysfunction or something that was like not, that we could definitely say wasn't related to me. Then I'd be like, I can stand by your side while you can only please me. But there would have to be a clear medical fucking reason.
Amen. I need to see the doctor's certificate.
Yes, please.
I need the doctor's certificate to save my ego. That's the fact.
I love it. I love it. But yeah, let's do the lubes, baby.
All right.
Let's get slippery. Slippery. We're into that song.
Okay. All right. And I just want to take a minute to thank our incredible sponsor, Voodoo Toys, who help make this whole thing be possible. And I obviously love working there.
Same.
So Voodoo is a sexual wellness brand based in Los Angeles, and you can check them out at www.voodoo.toys. And this week, our product of the week is actually a lubricant. So they've just launched a lubricant range, and they have 4 different types. They have like hemp, they have aloe, they have water-based. But this week, I want to talk about their silicone lubricant, because we, of course, have the anal scene queen in the building.
I would be happy to talk to you about why silicone is the preferred lube for anal on pretty much every porn set.
Oh, please.
Yes.
So tell us, Riley, why is it the most preferred lube on set?
Well, with water-based lube, it tends to dry out faster and be absorbed by the body faster and get kind of sticky, and especially in the butthole, which it absorbs moisture by its very function. That's how it creates the waste that it does. You really want something that has some staying power. And the silicone is more synthetic, and so it creates this nice slippery surface and doesn't get easily absorbed by the body. So the silicone will last for longer and keep you nice and slippery, so you don't get that anal friction, which is the enemy of all things that are good. And really your enemy if you're trying to shoot sex for like a couple hours, right?
I can imagine.
So
it's a marathon,
swear
not
by
a sprint.
we swear by silicone. It's pretty much the gold standard of anal porn everywhere.
Amazing. I'm so glad that we've launched this super cute little bottle. So it comes in at 8 ounce. It has a pink label if you're looking at it online on our website, or you see it in the stores. And it retails for $34. So you can just pop it in your cart. But the most important part is we actually have a promo code if you're a listener to the show. So you get 33% off if you use the discount code ORAL33. ORAL33 at checkout. And yeah, she's my hero of the week. And Riley's just told me why I actually need to get it.
I love
Thank you.
Yes. Yeah. You gotta have a good selection of lubes in your home for your various needs. And silicone is your lube for anal for sure.
Okay.
Incredible.
Yeah, we're learning.
I'm learning so much. My mind's like, whoa.
And it is important to have wipes nearby just in case. But one of the nice things about getting to know more about anal and know your body as someone who does it, both giving and receiving, is that the more you do it, the fewer surprises there are because you know how to best prepare for anything and to how to prepare yourself so that any of the things you're worried about, like mess, are incredibly unlikely to happen. So there's I have a whole system.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
Speaking of systems, that's what I actually want to talk to you about, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like there would be so much preparation going into one of your shoots, and I'm sure everyone prepares differently. But I was like, how do you go about preparing for a sex scene when your whole body is going to be on display and there are certain things that you can't control? Like, so what's your normal routine for preparing for a shoot?
And for a shoot that does not include anal, just like a basic shoot, the first thing I'll do is, I'll get up and just clean my whole body, like wash, shower, also make sure I've shaved everything that I need to shave. And then I pack my model bag for the day. And the bag for the day tends to include whatever clothes, lingerie, shoes, anything like that you might need. And it's always good to also bring things like douches and wet wipes just to make sure that you can clean things up and have a little spot touch up. I don't love to use the douches unless the production company likes it, because I think it's kind of hot if the pussy's a little bit creamy, but some of the companies like it to look really pristine, so I'll remove my body's natural lubrication and put in other lube for their aesthetic. But I always ask the company and scene partner on set before I choose to douche, because I think it's kind of sexy without. You basically you clean yourself, you groom yourself, you pack that model bag. Some people eat just about anything. I try to usually eat something that's kind of light so that I don't have too much in my stomach. And actually, if you're going to get face fucked, usually you'll bring some sort of a clear thing to drink on set. Like, of course, water is an option, but a lot of girls go for the white Gatorade because white Gatorade has a little bit of sugar, and sugar starts to stimulate salivary production, and people like a lot of spit in porn. And so the Gatorade will give you all those electrolytes you need and help you get a little bit more of those strings of spit that's so hardcore porny.
Oh my God.
So there's
hot
one
tip.
of the fun facts.
Yeah.
Keep it by your bed, ladies.
I'm about to go to the gas station tonight and get some.
I got a pack of white Gatorade in my house right now.
I'm prepared.
Yeah,
I'm prepared. Oh, that's
Every
incredible.
professional should have one.
Exactly.
That's great.
Good to know.
Yeah.
And those are the basics. Like usually they provide makeup on set, so I'll show up at set just nice and clean and moisturized, and they'll do my face and hair however they want, and then dress me up. And after that, I get to
work.
Take pictures, do the video, and
There we go.
fuck.
And hope that you love everybody on set.
Oh God, most people are pretty cool.
That's good. It's
pretty cool job.
Okay, so what I wanted to talk about, how long have you actually been in the industry?
I've been in the industry about 6 years now, I think.
Okay. And is that a long time for a performer, or is that a short amount of time for a performer to be in the industry?
6 years is a pretty long time for a performer to be in the industry.
Yeah.
There are plenty of veterans who've been in that long or much longer, but it's very, very common for people to come into the industry for just maybe a year or so, even a season, like on the break from college, and just discover that it isn't what they thought. Maybe they don't make as much money instantly as they wanted to and don't become a big star. Maybe they get outed to their friends back home and they're uncomfortable with it. Maybe they meet a guy who doesn't want them to do it anymore.
Sure.
But a lot of women will drop in and then drop back out. And often they're the young women who come in, people between the ages of like 18 and 22 will just kind of experiment with porn for a little bit, make some money, and then move on with whatever else it was they wanted to do with their life.
Interesting. How'd you get into the industry? What interested you about it in the first place?
I was one of the people in the industry who did not get recruited. No one found me in a strip club or off of Model Mayhem. I was involved in a whole lot of like lifestyle stuff in New York. Lots of polyamory and swinging and sex parties and BDSM clubs.
Fun.
And thought it would be cool if that was my job. And I was like, well, I know having sex is a job, but it's illegal and it would probably be with old guys, and I don't know. I don't want to be an escort. And then it hit me. there's porn. I would just have to be okay with the whole world seeing my pussy.
Yeah.
And it took several months and got okay with the world seeing my pussy, and then called up an agent. The rest is history.
Oh my
Wow.
God. That's awesome. That's the thing.
incredible.
That getting comfortable with the world knowing, I think, is probably one of the biggest barriers for performers, because
course.
I have this feeling that a lot of performers tend to operate in their own worlds, and like when they go to parties, they sort of go to parties with all their same friends, and they're all in the same industry, because there is also stigma around being a performer. And I'm just like thinking about maybe one of my ex-boyfriends in the past. I'm like, if I had come to his family party and told him I was a performer, like I would have felt uncomfortable just at their reaction.
It's an uncomfortable thing to disclose to people a lot of the time, and it's difficult for people who might like lose their current friend group or their family ties. I was lucky enough to not have those problems.
That's awesome.
But there is like a big stepping stone to being okay with like realizing that everyone you ever meet for the rest of your life may have already seen the inside of your butthole. Like, whoa. I had to get over that when I started doing Jiu Jitsu. I was terrified. It's like martial arts is like a male mostly environment, and I'm just surrounded by dudes. I'm rolling around with them, sweaty, trying to choke them, knowing the whole time, man, this guy may have already seen my pussy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, wow. I did wonder. So you do Jiu Jitsu, right?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it?
I've been doing it almost 3 years now.
Oh, it's awesome.
Nice.
And then what do you love about it?
I love the physicality of it. You know, I'm a very physical person. I do pornography and jiu-jitsu. I just like rolling around with sweaty people. What can I say?
It's very on brand for you to do jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. I just really enjoy both like the rush of the physicality of combat and the sort of discipline of training for years and years and years and still not really being very good. There's still a ton more to learn. Jiu-jitsu is vast. And then the camaraderie, the people at my gym, I was originally like worried they would find out about my work and wouldn't like me anymore, but they've become like my family, and now I'm out of the closet and they all still like love me and support me. It's amazing.
That's
that's
awesome.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I love that.
I know. I would think, because like I'm picturing going to a jiu-jitsu gym right now, and I'm like, it must be so full of dudes.
Oh, it is.
That
It's
would
so
have been.
broy.
It's so broy.
Oh yeah, and my boyfriend does actually. I just remembered.
Wow.
Yeah, and he hangs out with a lot of
Jiu-jitsu.
broy dudes.
Oh,
So
man.
I mean, I think he'd probably love it if he had a girl who does porn at his jiu-jitsu class. He'd probably be better than wrestling just other sweaty dudes, to be honest.
It's certainly novel.
Yeah. I think it'd be novel. Yeah, definitely. And so what are you? You're a blue belt?
I'm
Is
a
that
blue
what you-
belt.
And what does that
Wow.
mean? How many?
Okay, so the basic belts in jiu-jitsu are 5. You start with white, then you go to blue, purple, brown, and black. And you can get a coral belt after you had your black belt for like 30 years. It's very rare.
Wow.
So just think of it as being the basic 5. And so I'm just in the second one up from beginner. 3 years in, at the beginning of my journey. Takes around a decade to get your black belt.
Wow.
And you never know what bumps you'll hit on your journey. But I'm committed to it, and I'm having fun, being a blue belt, learning what I can.
How many times a week do you do it?
I do 3 to 5, depending on my
That's impressive.
work schedule.
Yeah, wow. That is a lot of discipline. Okay.
That is,
Yeah, I
yeah.
will never qualify for a blue belt. I already know that. I'll be in white until I die.
Wow.
But I'll be trying.
Be a 3-year white belt. Like,
So you're white belt. So I walks in and like all proud. Yeah, guys, look at this.
Like,
Look
she
at this
has
white
hope
belt.
at least. So, do you get recognized often?
I have gotten recognized. Most of the time when I am, though, people don't directly approach me about it or say anything, but I can tell they recognize me.
Right.
If you're out at Best Buy and some old man does a triple take, like he's trying to figure out where he knows you from, and then quickly looks away, he knows.
He knows. It's written all over his face.
Yes.
If a group of guys down at the local little Mexican tequila bar are huddled together at a table pointing at you, and then when you look, they all kind of look up, try to act innocent,
Avoid eye
they
contact.
recognize you. My
great.
mom was coming to visit me once, and we went hiking in Griffith Park, and she came up and whispered to me, "Did that guy just recognize you?" And I'm like, "What? Why do you say that?" And she's like, he turned his head all the way around to watch us hiking past. He was with his wife.
Yeah.
And I was like, yep, Mom, that's probably what that was.
Oh, man.
Well, that's what I was thinking. I'm like, I think, like, when you're a celebrity, people in LA, people often will act too cool to recognize you. But then also, if you're in the adult industry, it's that extra layer of if they're with their girlfriend or like their partner or their mum, for example, they really don't want to show that they do recognize you in case their partner's like, what are you looking at? And then they got to explain.
Well, you know.
And it's harder to go up to someone, like, you can go up to someone and be like, wow, I loved your work on the television show Bones. But you can't really, like, walk up to someone and be like, I loved watching you get boned in Evil MILF 6.
Yeah, exactly.
That's very true.
Yeah, it's a different type of compliment. But I'm sure you would have got that from time to time.
I've gotten a couple people, and they've actually all been really, really nice and super bashful about asking if they could take selfies with me.
That's very kind. I was about to ask that, like, how is it when someone asks you to take a photo? Is it people usually respectful about your space?
They're usually really shy when they ask. One of the guys got grabby right as, like, we went to take a picture, and I just like grabbed his wrist and moved his hand from where it was, and he just sort of nodded like, yep, okay, good, got it, fine.
Yeah.
Good. And you're also like thinking in your head, I could kick your ass, buddy.
Right?
I do jujitsu.
I'm a blue belt, baby.
Oh man, you know, a blue belt ain't much, but next to someone with no training, I mean, I'm not gonna say I would like murder them, but like I might make them unconscious before they realize what was happening.
That's more than I could ever do.
That's hot. That's hot.
Very hot. Like hit pressure point, like boom, done on the ground.
And so would you ever date a fan? Like if someone came up to you and they were like, I'm actually a big fan of your work, and they were like hot and you're attracted to them, would you ever date them, or is that a line that you wouldn't cross?
I feel like I'd be open to it if the vibe was right, like never say never, but man, they'd have to like be already kind of be my kind of people. They'd probably already have to be like sort of like polyamorous and open-minded and probably like into things I'm into, right? Like
Yeah. I think that goes with the territory.
Yeah.
Even if one of my few thousand Instagram followers came up to me and was like, hey, I've seen you on Instagram, blah, blah, blah. It really would depend on if I was actually attracted to them and if they were cool and my type anyway.
Yeah.
the attitude couldn't be too fanboyish either. Like no matter how hot they were, if they were acting like a 14-year-old
Obsessed
girl
with you.
who was like at a boy band concert, I'd be like, you're cute, but I'm out.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly. Yeah, that would be tough.
That
Although
would.
kind of flattering.
Oh, it would be really flattering. Maybe I'd bone them once or twice, but like I couldn't.
But you wouldn't love him.
I couldn't respect them.
I love it. I love it.
And what about at like trade shows, for example, when you do things like signings? Do things ever get like out of control? Have you ever seen anything crazy at those trade shows?
Man, I haven't seen much crazy at the trade shows. Besides people like getting drunk and acting inappropriate and having to get escorted out by security.
I feel
which
like you
is-
see that at like paper trade shows as well.
Yeah,
so.
which is just pretty much, especially if it's a trade show in Vegas. If it's a trade show in Vegas, someone's going to get drunk and show their ass, literally or figuratively, and have to be escorted out.
Great. When's the next one? Let's go.
Let's go. Let's do it.
But you'll be at AVN in January. Is that right?
I will.
Awesome. You'll be doing some signings.
I will absolutely be doing signing, definitely
That's
at my
exciting.
agency booth, at ATMLA booth.
Great.
Woo.
All right. Well, anyone listening who wants to come down, that's where you
Come
can meet
see me.
Riley
I'm
in
like
person.
really friendly, and I will not choke you without your consent.
That's a good personal brand.
That is that
I'm
really
aspiring
is.
for that personal
Same,
brand.
same.
Yeah, my 10-year goal is Jiu Jitsu MILF, so, you know, get it while it's fresh.
that's
Heck yeah. I'm Riley, your jiu-jitsu MILF. I love it.
That's a step
good.
into my dojo. Okay, well, you actually do a lot of advocacy work.
Yeah, I do.
You're not just a performer, you also are an activist in the adult industry, which I think was so fascinating. And so tell us a little bit about what you do.
Well, I chair the Adult Performer Advocacy Committee, which is a group run by and for adult performers to improve their lives on set and off. And that takes several forms. One of them is providing education and resources for performers who might need some kind of guidance or legal help or mental health resources, that kind of thing. Another is doing advocacy and lobbying work, reaching out to lawmakers who might be passing things that affect adult performers or other sex workers who we work in solidarity with.
Yeah.
And those are the two main things, the community-facing and the outward-facing work.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine that you're continually having to adjust to different laws, and it would really affect your industry. And there have been quite a few laws that have been quite regressive in terms of things like abortion. And there was what's the name of the law? Is it something 8? It's like it affected sex workers. It was about sex trafficking, but it actually ended up...
Sesta Fosta.
Right.
Sesta Fosta was the one that really affected full service workers and more criminalized workers more heavily. Now, what Sesta Fosta essentially did, for those who do not know, is that it criminalized platforms for having certain types of speech on them.
Right.
And what it did was it made platforms responsible for the content that was published on them. So if someone were to publish something on Reddit or Twitter or YouTube that could be seen as prostitution or sex trafficking, they can hold the platform liable for those things. And what that did was, in effect, take down or crush platforms where people were advertising online for full service sex work. Even people who were not in any way being trafficked, who were just putting up their own advertising, find they were losing spaces to do so, and losing the types of spaces where they would have blacklists and check with one another about the safety of Johns they were going to see.
Right.
And it was incredibly harmful. But the fallout of that is that adult performers and people doing legal sex work also found that they were having more trouble accessing platforms, because many platforms were just trying to get rid of all sexual content whatsoever because they were afraid of being caught up in the Sesta Fosta net.
Right. Because I saw you have a Safe for Work Instagram. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
And is that a big thing that performers have to think about, that their Instagram account will get deleted randomly one day just because Instagram decides to flag something?
That is a big concern. And as you know, Instagram is one of the most popular social media platforms for promoting your brand right now. Yeah. I had my last account deleted at 170,000 and I'm only up to 20 something again now, which is very frustrating for me.
So frustrating the day you woke up to that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
And it really has to do with very inconsistently applied standards. Yeah. For example, Kim Kardashian can absolutely just fuzz out her nipples and have a nude photo. But we'll post bikini shots, and because we do porn, it's seen as being sexually suggestive and inappropriate.
Well, so does Kim. She's got a tape.
So she does have that
there
tape.
You go. But
does have that tape.
She's legitimate. She's not a whore like us. So that's been very frustrating. And Sesta Fosta was a big loss, but I do want to celebrate in the state of California something that APAC advocated for. That affects full service sex workers and sort of escorts and prostitutes more than adult film workers, but is very exciting. We were doing a lot of pushing for SB 233, Senate Bill 233 in the state of California to go through. And what that does is it doesn't allow them to use condoms as evidence in prostitution cases. That way they don't have an incentive to not use protection if they're street workers or people who are more marginalized, because they would use condoms as evidence. So then the workers couldn't carry condoms and had to rely on their johns for them, which created more danger.
That's incredibly dangerous.
Very dangerous.
Right. So now it's no longer usable as evidence in the state of California. And they've also allowed immunity for sex workers who want to come forward to report certain types of violent crimes. So if they come forward about a crime and in the process have to reveal that they were doing sex work, they have immunity.
That's incredible.
So go California.
Wow.
Is that the first state to pass those laws?
I think that they have managed to do similar things in New York, maybe a couple other places.
I mean, it is disappointing that isn't everywhere, but it is great that we are in California.
Yeah. SB 233, making progress. Next, decriminalize all sex work everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you so much.
Tell me the truth.
Oh God, the biggest problems facing the porn industry right now are probably ones of access to resources and education in the community, especially for the newer models that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
The young 18 to early 20-somethings who come into the industry and then go. They're very marginalized and they end up being very vulnerable, either to, maybe small 2-bit agents who would take advantage of them, or producers who might be less than scrupulous, which is certainly not most of the industry, but there are those who hang around the fringes waiting for vulnerable young women
who don't have the education and knowledge of the industry to know what to look for.
And sometimes even just a shitty boyfriend who wants to act like a pimp.
Right.
Lots of times it's a shitty boyfriend who wants to act like a pimp, and I want to help these girls find the mental help that they need. I want them to find the legal help that they need. I want them to have the financial education that they need and the knowledge of their rights to be empowered and to make their own decisions and to not end up in situations where they feel like they're under someone else's control. Because you know what? Women in the industry do have a lot of power if they step up and take it and if they know their rights. And that's my big goal in this coming year, is to try to create more accessible resources, more online resources, and things that are easy to digest. I've noticed more and more people don't want to read blog posts. They don't want to have to look at stuff online. I want to try to create videos, infographics, things that are easy to digest and easy to access, so that a model doesn't have to come make it to my panel on taxes in Los Angeles. A model at a model house in Miami, Florida could pull up a YouTube video that would tell her a little bit about what you can write off on your taxes as a model and what you should expect to need to save for April.
Oh,
Incredible.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So
how are you
accessible
reaching them?
education.
Yeah.
That's my goal.
How at the moment do you reach these girls? Is it just that they get lucky through search terms by finding your organization, or?
Right now, it's mostly that we have our pages up for our organization and cross promote with FSC, the Free Speech Coalition, that provides PASS and other industry services for testing. But the testing centers alone are not enough, and I'm trying to figure out ways to create more reach and to create more resources that people can find easily. They could be easily shareable on social media, because I find more often than not, newer models get their information from experienced models they look up to on Twitter or whatever their agent says. And historically, agents haven't been incredibly cooperative with APAC. I think some of them fear that we'll over-empower their models or try to sway people against them. But we're not anti-agent. We just want these girls to succeed and do their best, which I think all agents should also want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But we've had trouble using that as an avenue to reach out to them. So the second thing that they listen to are models they look up to. And if we create nice, easy, shareable videos that these models can put out that might even have the faces of these models as the spokespeople,
Great.
I think that would be a great way to reach them.
I think that's a great idea. And also, when you were coming into the industry, who was someone that you looked up to seek advice like that?
Oh my gosh. Nina Hartley was a big example of someone I thought was a role model. And she's been incredibly supportive of APAC's work and has helped in things throughout the years, since even before I came to the board. And seeing what she said always really helped me. I always looked up to women who were directors, like Kimberly Kane. I thought she was brilliant. And I wanted to be like her. And there really were so many experienced models. Honestly, any model who I thought was famous and successful, I would have listened to. Even if now I'm less impressed by them.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
It's good to be a sponge just for all information at that point. Exactly. And so, are there many female directors in the industry?
There are not many female directors, but there are more every day.
That's awesome.
That's great to hear.
Do you find there's a noticeable difference on a set if it's directed by a woman than if it's directed by a man?
I wouldn't say that there is any noticeable difference I can describe being on a set with a female director or a male director, but I can look and say that all of my favorite directors to work for are women.
Awesome.
I really love being on a Jackie St. James or a Bray Mills set more than anything. I like the way they direct. I like their vision. I like the way that they think about presenting sexuality. I like that they give me an opportunity to act as well as an opportunity to fuck. Oh yeah, and Mason, she's a female director, and I love working for her because she encourages me to fuck the way I like and have orgasms.
Awesome.
The first thing she said to me on one of her sets after we got our stills, she pulled me aside and she said, "Hey, are you able to have orgasms on screen?" I said, "Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard sometimes, some of the positions, but like, yeah, I like to when I can." She said, "Okay, great. Have as many as you can."
Wow.
That's awesome.
And I was like,
That's
I had
great.
never gotten direction like that, certainly from a man, ever before.
Yeah.
Like, okay, your body can do that, then have as many orgasms as you can, as many as you'd like.
Wow. Wow. We have a ghost in the studio, right? The door just creaked right on open. There we go. And so before you choose what set you want to be on, do they give you like, oh, this is going to be the name of it, this is the storyline, and you kind of can pick and choose what you want to be a part of?
Oh,
Or how does that process go?
Yeah, I'll tell you about how booking works.
Yeah.
Basically, I don't choose what set I'd like to be on. I have a list of activities I'm available for, and I have a no list of things I won't do and people I won't work with.
Oh, great.
That's important.
My
yeah.
agent has those things. And then companies will call up my agent and they might say, "Hey, I want Riley for this next movie I have. She's awesome." They might also say, "We're looking for, someone to play a hot wife. Who do you have who's in the wife range that's available this Thursday?" And he'll send them a list of everyone who's in that age range and tested. And they'll pick from the catalog.
Right.
Gotcha,
And then
okay.
they'll be like, "We want Riley," and you'll be like, "Okay, yeah, I'm available to do that," or
Yeah.
"No."
My
I'm working
agent texts
schedule."
me, usually the first text just says the date, what the company is, what the act is, and how much it pays. He'll ask me those 4 things. And if I agree to those 4 things, then that gets set in stone and booked in the calendar. And usually a day or 2 before, I find out who my scene partner is, and I get a script if there's going to be one. It's not
Gotcha.
going to be ad lib.
Cool.
Oh, nice.
Because one thing I wanted to ask you is, you've been in the industry for some time now. Do you think that a performer's longevity is based off their ability to build a personal brand and stand out? Do you think that that's quite important in this day and age?
Yeah, building a brand is certainly important to success as a performer, but not all performers necessarily succeed by building their own brand. For many of them, their brand is sort of built for them by a combination of agents and producers who see that they have it, whatever that thing is, and build it up around them. And other performers are very self-driven and build their own brand and persona aggressively on their own. One example of someone who I think has done a phenomenal job brand building is Charlotte Sartre, whose handle on Twitter is Goth Charlotte. She's got a bunch of tattoos. She posts pictures of her spiders and her cats, and does a bunch of really kinky porn, and has a bunch of tattoos, and she just pushes this like cute goth girl thing and makes a lot of like really great sarcastic jokes, and she's built a very distinct persona and has a dedicated cult following to this thing. And she doesn't have an agent. She just operates on her own with this very strong brand that she's built. But there are many other models who don't necessarily self-build the brand. But you do have to have one to last for very long at all. Otherwise, you end up
Lost in the
shuffle of constant new blondes.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I think with every industry, really, the invention of social media has really helped empower people actually speak directly to their audiences. And so do you think with social media, even though I know it's a little bit tricky with Instagram and Facebook, do you think that female performers are probably more empowered now than they have been in the past?
You know, I've only been in the industry for 6 years, but I would say that social media is incredibly empowering for female performers. From what I understand, in the past, your whole career was basically made by the production companies, who was willing to put you in a DVD, who was willing to put you on a cover, entirely who else was willing to build your brand and willing to promote you.
And
At
how
this
much
point-
you were willing to compromise in order to agree to that sometimes.
Exactly. And at this point, you could shoot for almost no one or even shoot for yourself and be a legitimate star. There are people who are legitimate amateur stars who just shoot stuff with their boyfriend in their bedroom and have built a brand about it. And they're not porn stars. They're just paving their own way. And I think that it's really great that that's possible now. I think it also allows for more diverse bodies and types of sexualities to really shine through because
the audience get to dictate what they want to see, and the audience don't want to see all the same body types. But if that's all they're getting fed from like DVD production in like the 80s and 90s, then that was the only option. But yeah, you're right, with social media, the audience can say, no, we actually love this like fuller figured body type, or we like having like different options. So I think it does actually, it empowers the audience too.
Yeah, and I think it also gives a space for those more marginalized bodies for them to create a community and be like, we're proud in this. And we know that we have an audience that respects our bodies and that wants to, get more content from us. So I think it creates
media creation is so cheap now.
Yeah.
Like anyone can get a camera that's fairly high quality and lights that are all right for not too much money. Like you could start out with, $100 webcam and some natural light through your window. And if you start building a following, you could just slowly upgrade as you go. I mean, it used to be that like you had to have lights and cameras and a whole production studio. If you wanted to create erotica that could be consumed, you had to have distribution. But now, it's an iPhone in your computer and you're done. Just the iPhone, really. You could upload from there.
Yeah. That really is awesome.
And there's a site I keep seeing, because I have a couple of people who I follow on Twitter who do like personal sex worker videos, record them, and they put them on OnlyFans. So I've heard a lot about. So what is it exactly? OnlyFans? Is it like a?
I think
can
it's like
explain
a
it.
subscription. Oh, hey,
Yeah, I'm so curious
here we
to know.
go.
I got one.
Yeah, let's go.
I got one,
Let's do
and it is doing super well for me.
That's
so
incredible.
OnlyFans is basically a subscription social media site. You can subscribe to the feeds of different stars or performers that you like, and you can see what comes up in their feed. But it also has a messaging function, including paid messages. So a lot of stars will have some amount of content and some amount of teasers available in their feed, but then they'll message to send some of the full videos of the juicier exclusives. And I even do chatting, so it becomes like I can have a sexting service as well. So it becomes subscription social media feed and also like a sexting and messaging service where I can send customized videos and shout outs or pictures of whatever they'd like as well. It's really a great way to connect to my fans and a great way to express myself in the ways that I want to.
Exactly.
I don't have to just put on a ton of makeup and go to a scene with its high production. It's a fun thing. It's an empowering thing. Also, you can do BTS, like behind the scenes stuff from your scenes.
Cool.
It's just it's a fun thing that a whole lot of people are doing right now, and it is so much easier to use OnlyFans and let them take a percentage than it would be to try to orchestrate all of these sales or things by somehow having it sold by like emailing your fans and telling them you have videos out or something like that. It's because it's all just there in one spot. It's like an easy to use app. It's well worth the percentage.
Interesting. And I also was browsing your website and I saw that you've recently made this, I don't know if you want to call it transition, but over to the Femme-dom world. And I think that's very cool. So I would like to get more information about how was that for you? How is that differ when you're empowering yourself, like shooting an adult film rather than doing Femme-dom? Like how does the vibe
what is a
change?
Femme-dom,
What
first of
is
all?
a Femme-dom? Yeah, how do you describe a Femme-dom?
Okay, so Femme-dom stands for female dominant. It's just a sort of like BDSM and BDSM porn term for someone who's dominant and female. And I have to tell you, they're just two very different types of erotic work. Like in one, I'm having sex, having orgasms. That's really like just the focus is sort of hardcore sex. And in a lot of porn, especially boy-girl stuff, the woman is default kind of submissive. Like, there's no reason while I'm riding a guy cowgirl I couldn't be choking him, because I would totally do that in my real life. But in porn, pretty much all the time he would be choking me, so I have to sort of set my boundaries there.
Yeah.
But in Femme-dom, the entire point is BDSM or dominance activities, and I do clips on a ton of different topics. I'll do cuckolding clips. I'll do ball busting clips. I'll do chastity clips. I'll do tease and denial. I'll do like sensual domination where I'm like forcing them to pleasure me, foot fetish, ass worship. I do forced buy. Forced buy is one of my top sellers.
What's that? Yeah, what is that?
I think it's because they can tell how much I'm into it. Forced bi is a fetish for being forced to do bisexual activities, like being forced to have sex with another man or suck dick, even though you don't like guys. So it's this whole power trip in which you're either being coerced or convinced or blackmailed or just forced to do it because you're my submissive. But it's not something you're into. You're just doing it for me, which I think is really beautiful.
Yeah. Wow. So what is it about Femme-dom that you love?
I love sexual power. Like, it's one of the things I love about porn too. I'm like a goddess. Like, around the world, there are people jerking off to videos of me right now. Every single time one of them has an orgasm, it's like a tribute to me. It is building my succubus powers. I love this shit. I am like a sexual vampire. I feed on that energy. And Femme-dom and porn both give me that. The ability to be a sex goddess. Like, I feed off of it and I love it and I can't get enough of it.
That's awesome.
Heck yeah.
Do you ever
goddess.
like have the days where you're like self-conscious or like feeling less than a goddess? Is there anything you kind of like do to help pump yourself up?
Oh, yeah. I do have those days. I think we all have those days.
I'm mostly those days, but anyway.
No, honestly, the thing is that, you know, being all over the internet is a double-edged sword. You both get adoring people and you get a lot of scrutiny. So it's really easy to compare yourself to others and get kind of down. But lots of times what ends up pumping me up is having people who are close to me build me up and compliment me, because lots of times the throngs of fans, while sweet, can start to feel hollow, almost like it's your mom telling you something nice, you know?
Yeah. And you've just heard the same thing over and over. It's like background noise and it doesn't sink in.
So it's really nice to have someone I know and care about, or a fucking hot stranger. Let me tell you, I'm a monster on Tinder. I will go on Tinder and try to find the stranger that I feel is the most out of my league, and just only swipe right on people who I think I totally shouldn't be able to fuck, and then wait for the matches and then compliment myself. Like, oh,
that is gratifying.
That is very gratifying.
So gratifying.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I remember that where
terrible?
you'd be like, it's a match, and you're like, fuck yes.
Yeah. The only
That's
reason
rude.
why I'm still on these apps, I'm telling you, it's an ego boost.
Yeah.
Ego
Is that terrible? It's like, oh, the things that make me feel better when I don't feel like a goddess is getting my ego boosted by going on Tinder.
More external validation. But honestly, yeah, it kind of works. So I'm with you.
Yes.
Yeah, I use a lot of external validation. I am going to therapy. We're working on my internal ability to validate. It's improving. But man,
good.
if you're having a bad day, that quick hit of the cheap stuff really does bump you up.
Oh, yeah. Wow. I've never related to
I know that is so true.
Yes.
Yeah, that's so funny.
Like the long-term therapy thing. That's a long-term project. You're having a bad day. You just want
just need
something
a
quick.
little hit.
You want some chocolate and some Tinder.
Pump me up, baby.
Pump me up.
Well, I mean, this is the thing. Like, you probably get a lot of attention. Do you have any advice for women, especially, clever ways to deflect unwanted male attention? Being that you might have a bit more experience with that than your average person.
If they send you a dick pic, send a dick pic back. Up the ante. Make it happen.
Whoa, I'm taking so many notes right now. Whoa.
That's smart.
That is very smart.
Oh, you like sending dick pictures? So do I. Here's one from the last guy who sent me one. I'm going to add yours to the collection. Thank you.
Boom. Mic drop.
I call that
great.
dicking it forward.
Riley. They're great. Dicking it. I'm sorry, I gotta write all these things down.
Take
This is
notes.
incredible.
Silicone lube for anal, dicking it forward. I'm here for you.
Yeah. Put that one in your back pocket.
Oh, yeah.
But in general, like, deflecting unwanted attention, I don't know. I'm like, in person, I am so, like, just the, like, blunt but polite. Because I'm like, I'm still the Southern girl, right? So I'm just like if someone will come up to me and, like, be barking up the tree, I'll just be, I'm so sorry. I'm not interested. I'm doing other things right now. You have a great night. And, like, I'll like, wish them a nice evening while simultaneously while turning away from them.
Yeah.
And sort of hoping that they're okay with a no. Because sometimes people are really cool about it. They're like, okay, you have a nice evening too. And then other people decide they're going to be a dick about it.
Yo, yeah. Have you heard recently about all these stories of women denying men at nightclubs or at, that type of night scene?
Recently? You mean throughout the history of time?
But recently, women have been getting killed.
Wait, what?
Have been getting
I saw that
killed.
story.
Yeah, it's like
I haven't
it's
seen this.
insane. And so I think now there's this like, oh, you want to be like straightforward with me and be like, no, I don't want to talk to you. Leave me alone.
But there is a fear.
But there's a
element.
fear of that man being.
That's why I'm
his
like,
ego
what are the
being so-
crafty ways to do
What are
it?
the-
To protect
exactly.
yourself. It is something that unfortunately I have to think of. I actually, I
is.
didn't see that story. That
It's
makes me so sad.
terrifying. It makes terrible.
And I mean, we all have experience with that. We've all had unwanted attention from people that make us feel unsafe. So I always wonder, like, what are the best ways to deal with it?
Exactly. I just say, look,
Stay indoors, ladies.
I say I'll be inside.
It sort of breaks my heart as someone who, like, grew up, like, in the South, in
Yeah.
South Carolina, because I want to be able to smile at strangers on the street and be
too.
like, hi, have a nice day, you too.
And have that not be a welcoming them in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When I moved to
Exactly.
New York, I learned within a week.
I
My
bet.
first week, I was smiling and saying hello to people on the street in New York City.
They're probably like, what is wrong with this girl?
Oh, I got
so
followed
sweet.
down the street.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then I
man.
realized, like, oh, if you smile and say hi, it's hitting on someone here.
It's an invitation.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Not doing that
Noted.
anymore. But
Which
I
does
do sort of
suck.
miss the, like, pleasantries
I
of
know.
Carolina because it was really sweet.
That's very true. It's
Yeah, and being like a decent human being and not
Exactly.
expecting anything in return. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes the guy who held the door for you would be checking out your ass on the way through, but you know what? He wouldn't chase you around asking for your number. He'd just look.
He
And
just
that's
look.
fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
live
don't
with that.
touch. Look, but do not touch.
Okay, so one thing we are dying to know is a little bit more about swingers parties and swinger events and these things you mentioned in New York. Aspen has a great question.
Yeah. So swingers events, in my head, I think of it as like everyone's wearing these masquerade masks, walking into a large house.
It's 50 Shades of Grey.
It's 50 Shades of Grey. That's how I think of it. But I feel like that's obviously not what goes on in most cases, if I'm not mistaken. But I'd love to know what is it actually, like, what does a swingers party usually look like, or an event?
Oh my gosh. So as much as people and their sexualities are diverse, group sex events are also incredibly diverse. So I'm going to start by telling you about a party I used to go to that does sort of have that eyes wide shut vibe you're describing. Now, these are super rare, kind of strange, like invite only soirees, but I did manage to go to a party in New York City where we'd rent out the penthouse of this hotel, and it was all masquerade. And by the end of the night, we were having sex on pretty much every surface in that penthouse, and it was steamy.
So it was
have-
actually hot?
We'd have some little, oh yeah, like it's just so many bodies everywhere.
My edges could not withhold.
Yeah,
this scene.
I think
My
like
hair would go
that,
crazy.
That like heightened, luxurious, very like elitist type of world is very appealing. That's why they put that in 50 Shades of Grey type of thing.
And
I
you
imagine
could
that
see
would be
why it would
pretty
happen
hot.
in New York City as
Yeah,
well.
absolutely.
So the group that was were usually 20s to 40s. A lot of them were people who were part of the BDSM scene there or part of the Burning Man scene there.
This has come full circle.
Whoa, full circle, baby.
We did talk about Burning Man with our episode with Sierra.
We did.
Slutty Pumpkins, look it up. And group sex was mentioned because there is an orgy tent.
Oh, the orgy dome.
Right.
The orgy dome.
And Andrew, our producer, let us know that it was optional.
Yes.
You don't actually have to participate.
Yeah, you have to go into the orgy dome to go to the orgy dome for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it does make me more suspicious of guys who love Burning Man. So good to know that that's consistent.
There's a big sort of like sexually open community of Burning Man. So this is sort of like the 20s to 40 something burner / BDSM community, and it was just a big sex party with masks and people having sex in every surface, and usually they'd have nice hors d'oeuvres catered by someone who was in the lifestyle, so we wouldn't have outsiders in there.
Oh, great. Yeah, nothing like going to your catering job on a Friday night and seeing everyone fucking.
I didn't even think about that. Like, someone goes in there for just regular night on the town, and they're like, whoa, we're getting naked.
The porter of the hotel, I think, was always very entertained with us. The person who would control the elevator, make sure people got up to the penthouse who were invited.
Yeah.
And for us to have this kind of luxurious experience, everyone would have to sort of like pay their way in, and some people who had greater financial need could volunteer for a shift to help with people's coats or to help bring the catering around or help bring people drinks in order to get free admission, so it wasn't all too elitist, but you still had to know somebody.
Was it
to
expensive?
Get an invite. I think it was usually around 100, 150 a head.
Okay. And
That's
then
not crazy.
what would the attire be?
It was, cocktail attire plus mask until it was no attire.
All right.
Wow.
So that's one, but that is an incredibly posh sex party.
Were people hot? I've heard of these sex parties where you have to like send your photo, and if they deem you like attractive enough and like connected enough, then you get in.
This one didn't have photos, but since it was one where you had to know people and the crowd was like a little bit like kind of younger and hipper, most people were pretty good looking.
That's great.
Gotcha.
But then there's somewhere that would fit a lot of people's stereotype of what swingers are, which is a lot of people expect swingers to be sort of like older and
Hippies.
like maybe like, like kind of just everybody's mom and dad, right? Like older, like more like fat on their bodies, and maybe someone that they like wouldn't find sexy or wouldn't want to hook up with because they're too young and hip in LA to be interested in that. But you know what? Your parents, after you guys leave the nest, need love too, and if they're gonna have a good time by deciding that they're gonna go to a big sex party together, that is awesome.
That is
and
awesome.
That is very cool.
Not my parents personally. I'm not interested in ever knowing about that.
Don't want to know.
In the
do
broad
not wanna
sense,
know.
that is awesome.
That
like
is awesome.
A lot of the swinger events that I go to where I teach have a spectrum. They'll have sort of like the young hip swinger crowd, but they'll also have sort of like the older people who are doing like key parties and stuff like that, who like
A key party is when you all put your keys in a bowl and then you just pick out
and then
your
you
partner.
pick one and then you swap, full swap.
Wow.
Wow.
But there's a huge variety of people who will be at the events where I teach. And I always try to tell people how many types of folks there are there, because there'll be everything from like young burners to like older divorced couples to like hot wives who are super into cuckolding with their husband. Like they're
Great.
Whoa.
at these big swinger weekends, there's usually something called a chocolate room where like seriously black guys with big dicks will hang out so that the wives whose husbands want to be cuckolded
goodness.
or the wives who want to experiment with black guys can do it. And I'm like, well, like, God bless y'all. That's like, that's your bag. And like, there'll be singles, like single black guys hanging around. They're like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to dick down people's wives all night.
Interesting.
Wow.
That's great. And so what are like the rules of going to one of those parties? Like, is there a certain list that they give you before entering that you have to follow? Like going into it and leaving?
Spaces will generally have someone who's kind of an attendant who's like keeping track of the vibe, or who you can come to.
That's important.
Or like staff. We have staff shirts you can recognize. And they'll usually have posted rules before you enter. The Orgy Dome at Burning Man has posted rules outside.
There's a protocol.
We
people.
love structure. We need the structure.
The swinger weekends I will go to will have the rules listed both on a sheet that you sign when you register and in the pamphlet that tells you what the itinerary is and up on the wall next to the playrooms, just so there can be like clear understanding.
Yeah.
And it's usually rules like ask before you touch someone, and then there might be other rules, specifically that one room is the dark room where the lights are off, where you touch whoever, and like, so it'll say that outside the room. That's how the rules work there. The orgy dome at Burning Man, you couldn't come in as a single person. You had to come in as a two or more some.
Yep.
So that you weren't like hovering and people would actually play. At some of the swingers weekends I go to, there's a rule where you aren't allowed to have street clothes in the play areas. You have to either be down to like you can be nude underwear or like a robe, but you have to be sort of ready to play. That way there aren't people just hanging out drinking their cocktails. They really want
Fully
the playrooms
dressed.
to stay active. And if
Great.
you want to mingle, you go down to the bar and then you can put clothes on.
I like that because my thought process, like if you go and you automatically like, okay, you know, maybe I want to leave or maybe I don't want to be touched there. At least there's always some form of consent that people can refer to.
I agree.
Yeah, there's very few spaces that are just no holds barred, touch whoever you want. Like, unless it's incredibly agreed to beforehand. Like someone has arranged an orgy for their birthday and all the attendees already know each other. Or I've been to some parties where it's sort of a no holds barred gangbang situation where the guys will just kind of line up and you just like get super dick down. But like, you plan for that. Like,
You know what you're stepping
You know what you're
into.
getting, yeah.
yes.
And so my
It's not a
question-
surprise.
Yeah.
you don't have to, like, and it's
Surprise,
really
we organize a gangbang for your birthday.
You walk in there, a line of guys are like, whoa, 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 whoa.
It would be really
What's going
considered a faux pas, like most things. Like, let's say people were having sex in like a playroom at a swingers thing. If you walked up and like put your dick next to the girl's face, like in hopes that she would suck it, in most playrooms that would be considered a faux pas.
No.
Like no
Okay.
way would you
Yeah.
do that. But in some of the spaces that are more like gangbang centric, where people are like really trying to get dick down, that would be an appropriate way to instigate sexual activity.
Right.
So the etiquette is different in different spaces.
That's good to know.
Know your space.
Know your space.
Know the rules.
Boom.
So my question is, are STDs a concern in these types of spaces?
Oh, absolutely. They're bowls of condoms out like it's candy.
Great. Cute. I love that.
Safe sex, baby.
But then, so everyone has to use a condom or...
It is up to everyone to make their own sexual health decisions.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And then is that also, I mean, obviously that is an ongoing concern of being in the adult industry. And so what do performers do to ensure their safety, and like how can even like everyday people not in the industry also be careful and protect themselves?
Hey guys, get tested. Get tested. And get tested.
Amen.
Really, the only way to be safe is to know your status and know the status of your partner. An STI is really just coming in contact with pathogens. Not to be a super duper nerd, but I am a super duper nerd, so we're gonna have this conversation.
Nerd up.
It's like getting strep throat. If you come in contact with the germs that cause strep throat, you're gonna get strep throat. Similarly, if you come in contact with certain germs, you're gonna get an STD. But turns out for almost all of them, it's really, really simple to take some pills and it'll be cleared up in like 7 days. So just go and get tested. Know your status. If you want to have unprotected, barrier-free sex with a new partner, have them get tested so that you know their status, and hopefully you feel comfortable enough that they're not like going out every Friday night having unprotected sex with someone from a bar. But really, the way that safety works in the adult performer pool is that it's a limited pool of people who all get tested every 14 days.
Every 14 days, yeah, I guess.
And trust each other to also be conscientious about our offset practices.
Yeah.
Now, occasionally someone will get something because someone was not conscientious about their offset practices.
Yeah.
But with a 14-day window, you can very easily quarantine and treat whatever it is.
True. And does your manager or does the film production company make you submit tests results before you can be on set, or?
Well, the way that testing works in the adult industry is through a system called PASS, which is set up by the FSC, the Free Speech Coalition. And the PASS system allows every performer and every production company to have a login where they can see the performer's status.
Oh, cool.
And what that gives you is either a green check mark or a red X for whether you're cleared for within 7 days, 14 days, and 30 days to work.
Right.
And that would mean that you'd gotten a negative result on every STI included on the panel. And this allows people to look up whether or not you're cleared to work without violating your HIPAA rights, because it doesn't say what you tested for or what you tested negative or positive for. If you have a red X, it could just mean that your test is expired. It doesn't necessarily mean you tested positive for something.
Cool.
So it protects people's safety. And it also keeps people from forgeries, because if you go log into the PASS system and check under someone's legal name, having looked at their ID, they can't forge that check coming up in the system the way they could forge a paper test.
Awesome.
Wow, that's great.
Really cool, right?
Taking the precaution.
That is great. I wish
Safety.
they had that just for every human, to be honest.
Right?
Yeah,
Like,
these tests are like $150 because it comes back the next day. They express that shit. And also we have a super swanky HIV test, which isn't the regular one they use at clinics.
And do you have to, as a
Fancy.
performer, pay that money out of pocket?
Absolutely. I would love to see a
Yikes.
world in which it was covered by our employers, as technically, legally probably should be. But since we're independent contractors and we bounce around, and a performer might shoot one time on a test or might shoot for 5 different companies, even 10 different companies, it becomes hard to decide where the responsibility lies.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's tough.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm also on the PASS
learning.
advisory committee as a member of APAC. So
There
this
we
is
go.
like, this is my area. I'm like, sexual health and safety. This is what I like. Everybody get
Yes.
tested.
Safe
Great.
sex is great sex.
Yeah, I really think the abstinence is the only option education that people get in schools is so detrimental, because it really doesn't educate them about how to protect themselves. And
It's unrealistic.
yeah. And there's so much stigma around getting tested too. I remember like as a young adult, and I would ask my boyfriends, like, have you been tested? And they'll be like, ooh, what? No. Because they're like embarrassed because they have no education around it, and like how normalized it can be, and how it's just like going to the doctor for like a cold. And I just wish there was a lot more education in like sex ed about like how normal it is to go and get tested, rather than, you know, like you having to protect yourself and trust somebody.
Exactly.
And people think that you only get tested if you've got a problem. That you only should go get tested if you have symptoms. Like if there's goo dripping out of your dick, that's when you go get tested. Like,
Or you're in pain. It's like you should never get to that point.
It should never.
Like,
yes,
and I mean, maybe sometimes if you contract something, it does hurt when you pee. But realistically, lots of people can be asymptomatic carriers. And there's this idea that you shouldn't get tested unless you have symptoms, and that if you have something, you're dirty. And therefore, if you trust someone, you can have unprotected sex with them. But listen, someone you trust could not have known they have chlamydia for 6 months. And it doesn't mean that you trust them any less. It doesn't mean that they're cheating on you. It just means they never thought they had to get tested because they trusted their ex, who maybe went and slept with someone else, you know? And like, and maybe their ex was completely trustworthy, and she just had someone who wasn't trustworthy before that. It's really a chain, and it's just being exposed to the pathogens. And the sooner people get comfortable just going and getting checked out regularly, the healthier the general population will be.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see that becoming a lot more normalized.
Oh yeah, I was nerdy enough that I was really into like the Planned Parenthood date when I was in college. Like, oh, is our relationship getting to the point where you want to go barrier free? Well, I guess we're going to Planned Parenthood together next week, and in 7 to 14 days when our results come back, baby, it's on.
Oh, she was ahead of her time.
She was ahead of her time. Planned Parenthood date.
Yeah. Oh my God. I wish I had someone like you at
It's a
my
good
school
date.
being like, ladies, listen up.
Ladies, listen up. Exactly.
I absolutely did that in the calf, like at the table. Like I was talking about how I was going to get tested, and one of my friends was like, ew, did you like something itchy or something? And I was like,
what?
no.
No, it's because I don't want to get something itchy.
Exactly.
No, like I just figured it would be smart because I you know,
Yeah, you're letting someone invade your space. You want to make sure that
It's good
it's all
down there.
good.
Everything's working.
Yeah. I mean, and you can get complications if you have something for a long time untreated too. Even if you're asymptomatic, like especially if you're a woman, it can cause problems with childbearing later on and cervical scarring, yada yada yada. It's not great.
Yeah.
Go take care of yourselves. Get checked.
I love it.
Preach.
Preach it,
It's
sister.
a public service message.
Yeah, my TED talk was very long that time. Sorry, guys.
No, we love it.
Here for it.
We need to
well,
hear
I
it.
wonder, so dating while you're a performer, that must be a tricky thing to navigate if you're dating someone who's not a performer.
Well, on the plus side, I've been non-monogamous for a good decade. Oh, God, longer. Jesus. But like pretty much my entire adult life, I have been non-monogamous. So I was used to dating around the idea that I would be having sex with other people. That's pretty normal. So luckily I didn't have to really navigate that part of it with dating someone who's in the industry. The hardest part is navigating coming out to not just my family, but the families of my significant others.
Yeah.
Because it can be hard enough to talk about polyamory with your parents and have them accept, okay, well, love is love and you can love multiple people. That sounds nice. Okay, I can accept that. But then after they're like, also, she bones people on camera for money and it's all over the internet. You know, it's tough.
Yeah.
That's why I got to try to
There's a two-part to
make
that
a really
story.
good Thanksgiving dinner to impress my girlfriend's mom, you know?
Cornish game hands.
Yeah,
you know,
she
you really
can do
gotta
it
prepare
all.
them. Exactly. I love it.
Well, yeah, because I wonder, like, do your partners in your actual relationship ever see any of your film work and get jealous because they can clearly see that you're actually into the scene or into the person? Because it's one thing to be okay with polyamory and if you're present with your partner, you kind of like have some control over the situation, but your partner really has no control. You're going off to work and then they see it later. Has that ever caused issues?
I'd say any issues where jealousy crops up for my partners and for me. Jealousy is a normal human emotion. Even people who are polyamorous have it. But I'd say we're all more likely to get jealous from emotional things than from sexual things, in my experience.
Okay.
So they don't react as much to my work because it's just sex.
And it's something
And
they've
it's
already
just
come to
work.
terms with. Yeah.
They're much more likely to have their feelings hurt. Let's say if I go on a cool vacation with one of my other partners and they feel like we haven't done anything special and close recently and they're suffering by comparison, or, you know, maybe I'm dating someone new and I'm giving them a whole lot of energy and attention, and the person I've been dating for longer feels like they're not new and shiny anymore. Those are the issues where I find jealousy mostly flares up for them and for me.
Yeah.
Is when I'm dealing with something that makes me emotionally jealous. Because if my partner goes out and has cool sex with someone,
You're
be
happy for them.
Yeah, that's awesome. Go you. Have fun storming the castle. But if they
Yeah.
go out and do something like sweet and emotional with someone else and I'm feeling small that day,
yeah.
that's when I get sensitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's a great point. I fully agree. Because when you're being physical with someone, it's an act, it's over, and it's done. Especially with your line of work, you go to work and you leave and you come home, right? And so you're able to
separation.
separate the two. But when it comes to emotional intimacy, it is something so unique and valuable to that one person that when your significant other is giving it to somebody else, you're like, wait, what? That's something so unique that.
And now I feel less
And now
special.
I feel less special, but I need to feel special, girl.
I'll tell you what's
I feel
really
that.
cheating in polyamory. If you watch an episode of one person's show with someone else.
I agree with you.
If you were watching
1,000%.
Haunting at Hill House with your girlfriend and then
Scary.
you watch an episode of it with your boyfriend, that is fucked up. You should not have done
Yes.
that. You guys can watch American Horror Story, but never the twain shall meet.
There we
Do not
go.
watch the episode of that show with the other partner.
That's because it's a special bond you've made with that person, and you
true.
don't do
It's
it
a
with somebody
shared
else.
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
shared experience.
Yikes.
If my girlfriend started watching new episodes of Watchmen with someone
Watchmen.
else, I would be like,
Oh,
oh,
that's an hour that we could have spent.
oh.
I see how it
I
is.
see Regina King really kicked his ass, but we should have watched it together. I feel that. Watchmen, great show.
Haven't
Great show.
seen it.
HBO, highly recommend.
Yeah, I'm really in like a deep hole with some of my bullshit TV shows that my boyfriend won't watch with me right now. So I'm doing it solo anyway.
We love it. So should we go to
Ask Aspen?
Ask Aspen?
All right, so I've got a question that came in that I think is actually perfect for you, Riley. I was hoping you could weigh in. So first off, I ask it and I get Aspen's take on it, and then I would love for you to give us your take. This one is from Jess. She's 27. And she said, with my last boyfriend, I felt so unsatisfied in bed and we had a mediocre sex life. I felt like it was mostly just to keep him happy, even though I enjoy sex. I'm now in a new relationship and I don't know how to actually get what I want out of sex. What do I do to stop people pleasing in bed?
Okay. Well, I think that people pleasing in bed is something that I've tried to stop doing as of late, because my whole journey on being my more feminine self and being sexual with different partners is that as we talked about earlier, my ego would be shattered if I felt like that person wasn't satisfied after. So I would do everything in my power to make sure they had a good time. Afterwards, I would feel unsatisfied. And it hasn't been until recently where I'm like, why am I putting in all this work, back-breaking work, and I'm not getting no type of orgasm? This is horrible.
Yeah.
So I think my greatest superpower that I found during this is that I just need to use my voice. And if I don't like something and I say it, then it's like the person kind of gets a little stopped. They're like, oh, I thought she liked it. Because I'm so used to fake moaning. I'm so used to it.
Right.
And so when I stop, I'm like, you know what? That's not working for me. They're very open to like, oh, yeah. What
And I think they tend to respect you a little more
exactly.
if you ask.
If you ask what you want. So I think that's what I found at least works. And if there is a moment where I don't feel comfortable doing so, and I need to stop doing it, I'll just fake my and please myself with my Voodoo vibrator mini halo. Retails for $79.95. But yeah, I just think using your voice is the easiest way, but it's easier said than done.
Yeah,
truly.
I really think it is easier said than done, and I think it just comes with practice and experience. But it's especially if she's got in this habit, it's really hard to break a habit, because if she's used to people pleasing, she probably does it like in her life day to day anyway. And then to actually, when you're in your most intimate moments, practice for the first time speaking up, but not insulting your partner or making them feel like they're not pleasing you.
Yeah.
Riley, how would you recommend she tackle it?
You want to know a life hack for using your voice without making people feel criticized, which can be a bit of a problem if you want to say you don't like something? When you can, avoid saying what you don't like and say what you do like. If someone's down there giving you head and it's just not the way you like it, like I'm not going to be like, oh my God, would you stop weak ass lapping at me and like give me some pressure? You could just be like harder, or like even move their head to where it needs to be and like fuck their face for a little bit, if you got to do it. But like using your voice can be dirty talk if you have a little bit of finesse. Like telling someone how you like to be fucked is hot as hell. If someone won't stop jackhammering you and you need to work your way up slowly, just go up and be like, baby, slow down, and put your face up to their ear and tell them you just need them. I just need you to be close to me right now. I just want to feel you slow. I just want to feel every inch of you. And I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh, well, that's disappointing and ruined my ego. That's going to be sexy. And so
if he does, dump him.
Yeah. Oh, if he does, like, that's just throw the whole man away, really. Yeah. That's too much work.
But like worth keeping.
But yeah, like giving feedback on what you're into, especially if you say what to do, not what not to do, is dirty talk, and it is super, super hot.
Yeah, I think one thing is to actually, she should get to know what she likes a little better too, because it gives you confidence in the moment to ask for something if you're very familiar with what you actually enjoy. And sometimes women especially need to spend time with themselves exploring what they actually like before they feel confident enough to ask for it from a partner. But also I really think it's in my experience, it's like, don't ask them ahead of time. You do it while it's happening, and you gently coach them, rather than being like, hey babe, about last night. So when you were you're like watching TV and he's all like happy and comfortable, and you're like, hey, can we just circle back? Some key points that I didn't enjoy yesterday. I really think when you're not in that like sexual safe zone with your partner and you bring it up, it can be very jarring, and then it can be maybe taken a little too personally. So I would say like, the gentle coaxing while you're in the moment is probably the safest way to go.
And if you're going to want to do a talk outside the moment, that's a good time to bring up something that's like a specific fantasy or something that might require more preparation.
Yeah.
Or like more toys. If you were like, hey babe, I was thinking we might like incorporate some toys in the bed. Like, yo, if you find it's hard to have an orgasm during sex, but you have more orgasms with your vibrator, just bring that shit to bed. Bring it with you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not safe to go alone. Take this. They're amazing. Although I do know some guys will get like a little threatened, like what? I'm not enough. But if you like honestly, again with the life hack of like, just be like, the stripper life hacks, just like be all dirty talk in their ear about it. Like they usually won't stay too upset. Like, oh, come on, it's what I play with on my own. It'll be really hot.
Yeah.
Like, you know, usually they won't, like they might still be a little bit grumbly, but like after you like fucking waterfall all over their dick 3 times, they're gonna like, they'll be fine. You just have to sweet talk them a little bit.
Yes.
And that's
Sweet
why
talk,
we also have vibrators at Voodoo that are non-phallic shaped, because if a guy is not used to using a vibrator, the last thing he wants to see is you pulling out a giant, veiny, beautiful dick-looking thing, because he's going to feel intimidated. But you can use a little palm size, like the egg static, and it doesn't actually look phallic at all.
An egg, a bullet, or even like the wand-style vibrators are great because they don't look like they're trying to replace his dick. Yeah. Which is great for guys. And I'm like, and if you're having sex with women, they probably already have a giant drawer full of toys.
Yeah. Exactly. And if they don't, they can go to www.voodoo.toys.
And there we go. And I think for women who are still trying to get to know themselves and trying to be confident in their femininity when being sexual, I think it's important to take that step and to get to know yourself in that setting. Yeah. So that when you're in the partner with your partner, you know how to,
please
coach them and please yourself first. And it's okay to
and get a partner who's okay with you. Exactly.
And I think for the longest, I've seen sex as something that I am there to make the guy get off. It's been almost recently where I've seen it where it's we both need to get something from it. Great. And I think that's so important for people to... There we go.
I'm pumped for you.
She's growing. She's evolving. Yeah.
Nice.
It takes time. It takes time, right? But I think, when you first get into that space, it's scary. And, you don't know. You're just like, let's just
and
do
also,
it.
you have to kind of not care about their feelings more than yours.
You got to be selfish.
You got to train
and
yourself.
It's okay. Yeah. It's okay. And so...
I'm just going to say again, and it's sexy to be selfish. It is sexy to talk dirty. It is sexy to say what you want. Like, it is hot, like, to have someone who really wants it and knows how she wants it. Like, because knowing how you want it is not that different than just really, really wanting it. Like, if you really, really want it, but you really want it slow, or you really, really want it, but you really want, like, to get eaten out first, like... That passion will be hot. It will be hot. I promise you, it will be sexy. It's not going to be like a big letdown unless that person is a dick.
In which case, I'm glad you found out now, and you can get out while you still can.
So your Uber will be here in about 3 minutes.
A weird situation I've had where I've had to like figure out how to navigate bad sex I was having was actually something where I was trying to please them, but they were trying to please me at the same time. And the guy had some idea that, I think especially because I'm in porn, this happens, that they had to be like this really intense jackhammer that lasted for an hour to please me. Yeah. And I just like wanted some like more touch. And also like I can come a couple times then be done. Like you could go ahead and have your orgasm. I've had like 2 or 3, and after this you're just gonna make me sore. So it's like this weird thing where it was like a guy who was overly trying to please me, but it became performative to the point where he was just jackhammering away and I was just sort of like getting into fake moan territory because I was ready for him to come. And it was just like, it would have been so much better, I later learned as we had sex with each other more, if I had just said like, I just feel so great. Like, but you can come whenever you want. I'm very not like I'm good. Are you done? But like I'm so satisfied. Like you can like do what you need to do, and that sort of also lets them know like if they've got a while to go, that maybe like they want to like help you to finish or whatever. Give them a little bit of a signal, because I've had also the guy who like either is hard to get off or like wants to please me so badly that he's holding off and does not need to, and I am tired.
Yeah.
Bro. You're like,
Game
you know
of
what,
Thrones starts in 3 minutes. Can we wrap it up?
Can we wrap it up? My neck is cramping.
You did it. You did the job. You can tell all your friends that you made me come. Please, but
I'll
please
tell
stop.
my friends. Let's just agree that we can finish this up.
It's like you do a handshake in the middle of it, like, all right, we agree? Yep, let's go. I love it. Oh,
Awesome.
wow.
All right. Well, this has been a revelation. You're a boss.
Yes.
It's awesome to meet you in person. So where can fans find you?
Hey, if you guys want to find me, you can hit me up on Twitter at Riley Ray XXX. That's RILEY REYXXX, or RileyReyes.SFW. That's my safe for work Instagram. And through either of those or my website, which is just RileyReyes.com, you can find my OnlyFans, my education, all the other things I'm doing, and I hope you will.
Love it. Any exciting projects you have coming up as well?
I'm going to be launching in January my educational products online. So instead of just teaching about anal sex and oral sex at swinger events, I'm going to be launching my anal sex series for the first time, available online, which will be like masterclass, formatted in several shorter videos. And I am currently editing that. It's going to be at least an hour and a half of content.
Oh,
wow.
Yes.
That is a
Congratulations.
masterclass and
That
a
is
half.
exciting.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Wow.
Great. Good for you. Thanks for putting in the work to educate the rest of us uneducated folks.
I just want people to have pain-free anal sex because it's possible, and I believe in it.
What
gives
a
me
cause.
hope, Riley. Gives me hope.
gives me a tear,
Gives
actually.
me right shedding a tear.
Yeah, you're a legend. Thank you so much for joining us in the Love Lounge. Aspen, always a pleasure.
Pleasure, girl.
And we will see you guys next week.
Bye.
Later.
Tell me the truth.